And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Welcome back to the TMCJ podcast. We are on episode 39. We have been going for 3/4 of a year now. This podcast.
Damn.
It's amazing.
It's only been that it feels like longer.
It really does. I mean, we started last summer at some point, and yeah, now here we are.
It was the summer of 2020.
God, I doubt any song about the summer of 2020 is going to be that positive.
That's true. I mean, yeah. We're making it positive.
That's right.
We're putting the... Never mind.
Yeah.
That's very inappropriate loss.
Don't finish that sentence. But yeah, topics segment. You said you had something to talk about. I have some things to talk about.
This is true. Maybe just start with one of the things you're going to talk about, because mine's stupid and short.
Well, I mean, both mine kind of tie in together. Just on the subject of... whenever I think about topics, rarely it's something that I find... Usually if it's something that I'm going to be positive about, I save it for the media segment, because that's most of the things I feel positively about. But, the two topics I had that... Just things that have been annoying me in general. This idea, and I've talked about this before, but... So I'm not going to spend much time on it. The idea of like this new age like culture of safety that people have. This idea, this perception that everything should be as safe as possible and as risk-free as possible. And it going back to the Brave New World book, I mean, that was one of the impetuses behind a lot of the implication, a lot of their culture was everything was perfectly safe, nothing was too challenging. And I just feel like it's not good for people. And that leads me into basically the topic itself. I feel like people in general, like young adults specifically, have just gotten more and more childish. Like you see those you remember like a few years back, I don't know if you heard about this over there, but they had like, it was like kindergarten for adults where they'd get to play with blocks and do coloring and stuff. And it was just like a bunch of 20, 30 somethings going in there, and they got treated like children, and it was supposed to be for their mental health, to make them feel better and stuff. And I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Grow the fuck up. It's like, anyway, I don't know, but so I can tell by your facial expression you haven't heard that.
No. I really hope they weren't doing like dress up and stuff like that, because that's kind of fucked up.
I don't think so. As far as I remember it, it was very PG. But there are... I do remember there were like instances of people popping up who... I think that might just be a fetish, though. People who like to be treated like a baby. And, you know...
Yeah. Did they have like tantrums and stuff?
I don't know. Did Timmy get angry when Jenny took his blocks from her? Or something.
Did he throw a block at her face and give her, like, stitches because he's a full-grown fucking man?
Yeah, the little temper tantrums and schoolyard fights might be a little bit different when it's a 160-pound, human being. Yeah,
and, like, 3 of the classmates are mafia members.
Oh, God. Yeah, they're not just extorting you for your juice box anymore. Now they want your mortgage.
I don't think they want them. Well,
they want the house.
Yeah, that sounds really fucking dumb.
It's just...
I mean... Yeah. The drawing sounds nice, but that's not a kindergarten thing, particularly.
No. But, I mean, that's different. I think if you enjoy, like, doing sketching, or...
Yeah.
Which, it's just coloring in for adults, but... There's usually like a bit of a hobby or a talent like baked into that.
Also, I did have a small smile when you said adults pretending to be kids. We just played Sonic Adventure 2.
I will defend that. That was an exercise.
Timeless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's time. Yeah. A little bit of nostalgia is okay, but we didn't like. I don't know. We
didn't dress up as Sonic and Tails and start.
Yeah.
I'm not going to finish the sentence.
Oh, God. That's a whole other... Rings. That's a whole other kind of weirdo shit.
Anyway, yeah. So what was the topic you were talking about?
I feel that was just one example, but I get this impression that people are just more and more childish, and I think that comes off with like, maybe it's because I'm looking at stuff on the internet, and it seems to be where the most childish people will vent and scream and shout. But yeah, that was another example I had, and I wish I had written it down. It's all vagaries right now.
Yeah, a lot of people would say that being able to act childish is freeing.
Yeah. I think being able to act childish is freeing, and it can be refreshing, and it keeps you young. But
yeah, but do it in private.
But not even don't do it in private, but just like, I think there's a difference between being able to act childish and actually being childish.
Yeah.
Like, if it's just something you do every now and again, like, I don't know, that Christmas a few years back where I was just like, I was chatting with you and I was building a little Lego kit, right?
Yeah.
And it was something I enjoyed as a kid, and I still enjoy it as an adult. But once I'm done building that Lego kit, it was around Christmas. Once Christmas breaks over, I'm back at work. Like, it was just, yeah.
Okay, so what would you say about people who work at Lego?
Oh, they've just got the best job.
Yeah?
Well, I mean, presumably they still have to do adult things in their lives, like, go home, take care of their kids, like...
Bear in mind, so obviously pretty sure that's Sweden, right?
Denmark.
Denmark, okay. The rules and the laws in Denmark are just, like, very, very strict.
They also have, like...
I don't know if you've read about this kind of stuff.
I haven't. I know that they have, like... The only thing I know about Denmark offhand, in terms of trivia, is that they had hyperinflation, like, a couple decades ago, and that they have 54 national holidays.
To give you an idea of how strict they are over there, it is illegal to cross the street when the traffic light is not red. It is illegal. You can be arrested for it.
I mean, I think you can in Canada, too.
What?
Jaywalking is technically a crime in a lot of the U.S., too. It's just no one gives a shit.
What do they tell the bears and the moose?
I remember, this is completely off topic from the original one, but I think that one, I didn't have as much to say about that as I thought. There was a comedian that I really, really like, Hannibal Buress.
Yeah.
He's got just this hilarious, like, his style is just very monotone, very slow, and he was talking about this, how he went to Montreal and he got a ticket for jaywalking, which, crossing the street when he didn't have the light or was in the crosswalking. And he was saying, yeah, I was crosswalking, this cop came over and he's like, hey, you're jaywalking, or something like that. And he's like, and I was like, oh, my bad. And then I just tried to start walking away because I thought that's how jaywalking was handled as a crime. It's like, I'm not apologizing for jaywalking. I'm apologizing for how my jaywalking made you feel.
I mean, you're not jaywalking unless a car actually has to slow down.
Apparently not in Canada. He was just walking across the street. And I think it's like that in some places in the U.S. It's just people don't give a shit. Like New York City, I think it's probably a crime. But it's not an arrest thing. Really? It's like a ticket thing.
Yeah, I'd like to see everyone in New York getting arrested for crossing the street wrong.
Well, it's one of those things where if enough people just aren't obeying the law, then the law basically doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Sorry, go.
Well, no, I was just gonna say that there's some really good programs on like the life and times of people who work at Lego and like how they get hired and stuff. It's really interesting because they have to literally take like 10 people, put them in a room. They're like, here's some blocks, make the most creative thing you can out of Lego. God. Like that's part of the interview.
I would nail that part of the interview.
Mate, the people who go to work at Lego have been playing Lego their whole fucking lives.
I mean, technically I have. Just not much anymore.
Oh, God.
I remember, God, this is making me feel like making me look bad considering how I started this segment. But my first condo or my first apartment right after I got out of college, I actually, my mother used to run a daycare, and so she had a bunch of this stuff left over, and she had a Lego table, like just short little table. And I took it with me when I went to my first apartment. And I had it in my living room, and it had like a thing that went over it, so it looked like just a normal short coffee table until you took the top off of it, and it's just a Lego board, and you just build crap on it.
Nice.
It's very relaxing.
Yeah, like it does feel like the kind of thing where like it's a calm down mechanic. So like I feel you could have it in an office, and if two people are having a fight, you're like, right, you two Lego room for the next half an hour. You need to build a flower shop. Go.
Yeah.
And I think that would work.
Yeah, and well, that's something.
Now they'll end up like making weapons out of the Lego box and trying to stab each other. You know.
Well, I do think that there is something to be said about doing fairly, calming, just easily digestible, like open-ended activities as a form of like therapy or to like, help people relax. There's definitely something to be said for that. I just think it's weird when people like take that to the extreme, the whole kindergarten for adults thing, and maybe that's what it was. They thought it was just a calming, relaxing thing, but it's just, I don't know. That story's a few years old now, so who knows? Maybe it went out of business. Maybe those grown-ups finally grew up. And I'm just giving them shit.
I would be surprised. Like, as you did say, I feel like the freedom to act however you want is growing by the day. Particularly online, as you said, that's kind of got that culture where if you say anything that isn't conducive with everyone else's way of thinking in life, then you get shot down for it. So you have to be more positive and childlike in nature.
Maybe that's one of the things I was thinking about when I said online discourse. It's a lot. I think it's a lot of, and this has I guess been true for years, but mostly because the internet was anonymous before. But people like they have their way of thinking about things. They have their way of seeing things, and if somebody disagrees or questions it, they act like a child. They stomp their feet and cry and scream and you can't disagree with me. I'm right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what made me think of it. Do you know who Richard Dawkins is?
No, Richard Dawkins, yeah.
He's like philosopher, humanist, I guess. He got famous because he was part of the big like atheist movement in like the 90s and early 2000s, and he was a big promoter. He got a bunch of awards and stuff for promoting just a very like rational scientific thinking, and he got his award that he got back in the 90s taken away from him because he posed just a very reasonable question, but in my opinion at least. And he was he was trying to spark up a debate, but it was a I guess a politically incorrect question, and so he got lambasted, and it made me feel the same way. It's like he was trying to have an adult conversation. This is kind of strange. If this is true, why can't this be true? And
what was the question, or will it get us banned?
I don't think it will. So he was saying, based on the premise that we have now for transgenderism, right? Where based on your gender identity, you should be called by whatever pronoun or what have you that you should. So it's like, if that's true, then what's stopping people from just claiming other immutable characteristics, to transition from? So, I don't know. I like sushi. I'm Japanese now. That sort of thing.
Right.
And so that's a very reductive example, but it just the first one that popped into my head. I can't remember the example he exactly used, but that was his line of logic. And he was trying to, again, spark some kind of a debate. What he got instead of a debate was a bunch of people screaming and yelling, "How dare you say this? How dare you question this? How dare you, discuss this?"
I mean, if you gave a stupid example, I can understand how that could be seen as insulting
Yeah.
to
It.
transgender people, because there are absolutely like transgender people out there who take it very seriously. It affects a large part of their lives.
Yeah.
But I think what this sounds more like is that it's the people who want to take offense, taking offense.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure where this. I mean, that's just Twitter.
Yeah. That's why I still need to post last week's. Cause,
Oh my god. Yeah, so that podcast...
It's going to be like a small grenade.
So long. But it was such a long podcast.
It was. We'll have to cut down version. Or something. It's just that all our raw opinions that will get us hung.
God. Chop it down. Oh, God. But yeah.
God, Twitter. Yeah, it's absolutely that kind of thing.
Alright.
I mean, it's not Twitter's not the worst, I should say. We rag on about Twitter forever about how precious it can be. It's not the worst. It's just the worst of the very famous ones.
Yeah. They've got, Twitter's like a... I can't think of it. What am I trying to say? Twitter's like, you know, kind of a noisy, busy city street, right? Where there's shops and interesting things scattered around, and then just every now and again, a roving band of marauders comes through and kills a random person. That's Twitter.
Yeah. And it's one person at a time because they only focus on one thing,
Yeah.
like, hard. Yeah. God.
Alright. This is getting...
Yeah, sorry,
we think we're running out of steam on this one. What was the thing you wanted to talk about?
Okay, so I was watching... Oh god, what was it? I think it was an Asmongold video. I've been watching a lot of him recently. And he was reviewing someone else's video, and they were talking about... they glossed over a topic about goblins, right?
Yeah.
And it's something that I had never realised before, and it's probably super obvious to everyone else. Or maybe, I don't know. It's that goblins were theoretically originally based on the stereotype of a certain class of people. I'm really trying hard to be YouTube friendly here.
Certain class of people?
Certain people who are stereotyped to have long noses.
I thought that's where you were going with
money.
it. I thought that's where you're going with it, yeah.
Yeah, and like, when you think it, like, even J.K. Rowling in Harry Potter makes gnomes the bankers and stuff like that.
Well, that one's a little bit more on the nose.
On the nose, pun intended.
Oh god, I didn't think about that. How? God, we're going back to for Harry Potter. We're going back to that a lot because remember it was 2 weeks ago that I was talking about Harry Potter being like, you know, giving kids weapons like.
Yeah, that's true. I remember the thumbnail actually. Yeah, like I'd never thought about it in that way before, but I guess maybe that is a thing. But like, why would you ever do that?
I don't know.
I mean,
it was subconscious.
Now, I guess that, like, since, you know, the first person who makes up centaurs, he kind of classifies what a centaur is, and then other people can just use it. And maybe they don't realise what the meaning is behind.
I honestly think it maybe somebody at the very beginning was going with that sort of thing, but I don't think that's a very fair characterization for the goblins in general. I don't... Like, aside from that one physical characteristic, like, it doesn't... they don't really seem to match any of the stereotypes. And I should preface this, as you did, that I don't buy into any of the stereotypes, like...
No.
But he... Like, yeah, they... aside from that one physical characteristic that matches a stereotype, it's not like they're typically just, like...
I mean, they were always illustrated as short,
yeah,
greedy... long noses and...
Well, okay.
Like,
Not really.
I know maybe it's pushing it a little bit, but there's definitely the fucking similarities there.
This is one of those things that, like, if you could, like, if you think hard enough, you can probably make anything suit any stereotype. Like, it's that kind of confirmation bias. You can, like, this is something that comes up in, I remember talking to this to like some of my college friends a few years back. Like, one of the reasons, this goes back to what I was talking about on a couple podcasts ago about the kind of faith in science that people have these days, as if it's some immutable thing that's always going to be true. Like, depending on how well or poorly you design an experiment, you could prove the sky is green, like, with a scientific experiment, if depending on how you break the data down and how you select your, like, variables. It's a silly example, but so, I mean, it's one of those things, like, yes, there are some characteristics that are shared between goblins and that stereotype, but, like, there are tons that don't. They wear loincloths and hide in caves and usually are living in absolute squalor. Those aren't part of any stereotype that I've ever heard. I don't know if you're more well informed about these sorts of things.
Yeah, that's the thing. Maybe I'm being precious about it, but I just found it was really kind of interesting that maybe it has kind of a dark origin in that respect. It makes me wonder what other creatures have been possibly based off of other group sets of people.
It might. I mean, that might be true, and I think what you said about it maybe starting that way and evolving differently, I think that's definitely true, because they've sort of. Oh my god, I can't stop hiccuping. It's gone from, like, it's gone so far from its origin point that there's so much, like, meta knowledge out there, so many people that have created their own side stories and backstories, and there's all this lore built onto it now that they've kind of become their own thing. So even if maybe the original drawing was based on that sort of a stereotype, we've moved so far beyond that now.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely more chill ones, like dwarves are obviously, like, based off of miners, essentially.
Yeah.
I mean, you could possibly say Scottish people.
Well, I mean, I
like,
think
saying that all miners have, beards, and even the women have beards, and they're kind of greedy because they're going for all this metal in the earth and it's destroying nature, kind of thing. Obviously, that's a lot less bad than the goblin scenario.
Yeah, I don't know. I've always felt a certain kinship with the dwarves and Tolkien.
You'd totally be a dwarf.
Oh yeah, like, I mean, I'm short. I got a beard. It's perfect. I'm practically there already.
You like the boomsticks?
I do. I got a hammer. Actually, I pointed the wrong way. It's over that shoulder.
Wait, have you got a hammer? What, like a hammer, or?
Well, I have a lot of different hammers. But the one behind me is it's a hammer that actually, instead of the thing that pulls the nails out on the other side, it's a bottle opener.
Oh, nice. Also, your D&D character's got a lot of hammers.
Oh my god, my D&D character's got like a bandolier of hammers. So yeah. I should actually point this out, and I meant to lead with this. I completely forgot. We're trying out something different with the podcast today. So normally, we noticed last time when we had both of our cameras on for the quiz segment that we were kind of having a more natural conversation because we're looking at each other, looking at another human being. So we figured even if we're not recording them, the video won't actually be a part of the podcast. So that's why I'm clarifying this, and that I'm saying, like, I'm pointing over my shoulder. We're trying this out just on our end. And
yeah, we can see more of our, like, reactions and stuff to things, because there's some things where you just, like, raise an eyebrow.
Yeah, exactly.
And we can't normally see that.
So, but yeah, let us know how this works out. Discounting the first, like, 10 minutes where I just waffled about a topic that was really nothing.
Yeah, and I kind of forgot that we were actually doing it, and I was looking at the I mean,
oh man,
anyway, that was my silly little topic.
Well, there was another controversy that I remember a while back where they were talking about the orcs resembling a certain group of people, and
can I get a clue? south of the equator?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was weird because it started making the rounds, and there were a couple of YouTube channels that were like, "Oh, this is why," and they're awful and racist for doing this. And like, I think that says more about the people who made that connection than anything else. Like,
well, I mean, okay, so yes, I agree that people probably think that, but then at the same time, so take strictly like 40k orcs, right? Warhammer 40k orcs.
Oh, they're the best.
Literally based off of the kind of hooligans that go to football games. Like, that's what their characters are based off. That's what they sound like. That's kind of the stereotype dumbed down mentality. And I say stereotype because I'm not saying that people who go to football matches are stupid.
I'll say that. Fuck soccer.
And like they do lots of chanting, and that makes their things more powerful. They get like this. That's what 40k orcs are based off of. That's
always been the orc lore. Like when I started to dig into, when I started reading the 30k series, the Horus Heresy, and I was starting to dig into like watching lore videos and stuff to kind of learn about the orc lore was what just fascinated me. First of all, they're fungi. They're not even like...
they're mushrooms, aren't they?
Yeah, they're just giant fungus that have grown up into these things. And yeah, they just... The way that their technology works is they all believe it works so much that it just happens.
They're such fucking memes. They literally look like Pepe's.
Yeah. I mean, well, their whole... oh, what was it? There was their way of like traveling faster than light. They go through the warp, and rather than having a shield or anything like that, they just go through violently screaming as loud as they can, and they scare off the warp creatures just by being so fucking insane.
And like their access to the warp is through just when an orc is born, they have like a roll of the dice, and it decides whether they're going to be a normal like orc or whatever, or whether they're going to be a mech boy or a weird boy. And weird boys have somehow connections to the warp, and so they can just stick like two rocks together and make a warp gate. That's just it's just fucking magic. Same thing with mech boys. They just stick, a piece of cardboard and a pipe cleaner on the end of it, and suddenly like they have a working engine. That's just how it works because they believe it will work.
Yeah, or like they paint things red so it goes faster because they think red makes things. Yeah.
And so literally their way of interplanetary travel is that they will hop on an asteroid or a meteorite or something and strap rockets to it. That's their level of tech.
Yeah. And they're just like so crazy indestructible and so hard to actually kill because they are just a fungus. That they're a threat just by sheer willpower. They're God, we're all over the place.
By that logic, so if orcs are fungi and Tyranids are essentially like bugs, pests, can the Tyranids not just like eat the orcs? Do they need to pesticide themselves and then run into a group of Tyranids?
I don't know. I don't remember if we're kind of going all over the place here, but Tyranids in the lore of Warhammer 40k are these giant they're like a multi-species. They're these hive bugs, right? And there's like their way to defeat an enemy is like they fight an enemy and they're like, oh, we don't have anything that'll fight it. We'll just evolve a new variety of Tyranid and it'll just go out and kill them. And
so Tyranids like steal people's DNA and then they use it to make themselves more powerful. They do have a hive mind where if they get too far away from the hive mind, then they basically become just wild, feral dudes. What are you laughing at?
I just had an awful thought. When you're like, they steal people's DNA and it makes them stronger, I'm like, so they're just an alien sperm bank.
I mean...
that doesn't even make any sense, but it's what popped into my head.
They collect gene seed. That's literally what they do.
Oh, God. It's all gone terribly, terribly wrong.
Yeah. I got crap in my keyboard. Sorry.
Oh God. I think we're about ready to wrap up segment 1. We didn't really have too much in the way of topics. It took me a second to figure out what you're doing. Blue is shaking his keyboard upside down on camera to try and get, like, crumbs or something out of it. Just the level of OCD right now.
I was banging it on the desk, so I didn't want to have it going through the mic.
Oh my god. Alright, yeah, let's wrap it up there. I think we're kind of exhausted on topics for this week.
Are you kidding me? I could talk about tyrannid sperm banks for ages.
We probably could, but I really want to get into the media segment, because I watched a show this week that is just awesome. It was
wow.
one of the first news shows. It was an Amazon original called Invincible. And it's just...
don't say anything else.
Yeah, I won't say anything else, but I absolutely loved it. Actually, a little bit of teaser for that segment.
Okay.
Well, never mind. You'll see it. It's called Invincible. It's on Amazon.
Such a tease. Oh.
Anyway, this is going to be the end of segment 1 of the TMCJ podcast. Thank you all for listening, and you'll hear us again momentarily for segment 2. Welcome back to the TMCJ podcast. We are on segment 2, our media segment, which I am excited because we didn't do a movie night this week, but I have been watching a series that I have been absolutely loving. And Amazon is doing one of those, step release things where they release one episode, they release 3 right off the bat, then 1 every week after that. So there's 1 episode left in the season, I think. So the finale is next week. I watched episode 7 Thursday when it came out, and so the series is called Invincible, and it's based on a comic book. It's an animated series, and it is very much not like in the Marvel style. Like, there's some pretty brutal blood and gore in this series, but it kind of tricks you into thinking it's not going to be like that in the beginning. So I should preface this with, I've said it before when we talked about some of the Marvel movies, that 2 of my least favorite superheroes out there are like Superman and Captain Marvel, because they're just crazy overpowered, nothing can hurt them, and they're just boring, generic characters who never seem to have an arc. Because they can never think of anything to threaten them, so they can never think of any way for them to grow as a character. This, I think, does that in a very takes that in a very interesting direction, because at first it seems to be a very loose parody of Justice League, like the animated Justice League series. You've got a Batman equivalent, a Wonder Woman equivalent, and a Superman equivalent called Omni-Man. And same sort of backstory, came from some far-off planet, and he's here, except in this instance, he's married and he has a kid, human woman, and his kid is half whatever. I think they call him like a Veltrian or something like that. It started with a V.
Right.
And his kid is like kind of being ground under the weight of the fact that his father's, this big superhero, Omni-Man, and he doesn't have any powers and stuff like that. And then one night early in the first episode, he's taking trash out at his part-time job, and he throws like a garbage bag like 1,000,000 miles into the air, and then he's like, "Oh, I got my powers!" and he's so excited about it. And now I'm gonna say right off the bat that I'm gonna be spoiling a lot, and this first scene is like, this first episode is what hooked me on the series, because the dad finds out he has the powers, right, and he doesn't react exactly how you think he would. It's like, "Oh, great, good job, son, help you learn how to use these and everything." He just goes like, he just blank face, just, "Oh." And then his wife like kicks him under the dinner table, and he's like, "Oh, that's great, we can start training tomorrow," and stuff like that. Get a good night's sleep. And then at the end of the first episode, they do a little thing, father-son training, and getting him to design his first costume, like, to be like to get his superhero outfit and everything. And it has this very, like, teenage animation kind of vibe to it, like it's going to be essentially like the Justice League animated series. But then at the end of the first episode, the whole Justice League gets gathered together in their secret base or wherever it is, and Omni-Man, the Superman equivalent, comes flying out of the shadows and just brutally murders all of them. Like, one guy, you know, is going after him, and they do a lot of damage to him. Like, he's severely injured in the fight, but, like, he chops one of their heads off. Like, the Batman, like, he punches his spine out. Like, it's brutal. And that first scene was, like, right when it happened, I was just like, holy... Because there had been no gore, and the violence had been very cartoon, like Saturday morning cartoon level, up till that point. And then that happened. And that's where the episode cuts, with him having killed all of them and then passing out. And
Why did he pass out?
Because they kicked the shit out of him, too. Because they're, like, the greatest heroes on Earth. And so he's not part of, like, the Justice League equivalent. But, so, like, all of them, they did a lot of, like, pretty brutal damage.
Does he kill his son?
No, his son isn't there.
Oh, okay.
And in fact, that becomes the thing. Like, you know that he did this, and and there's like some government organization that's the equivalent of like S.H.I.E.L.D. from the Marvel movies. That so they've developed.
I can only picture him as the Boys' main dude now. By the way,
no. So you know the guy who's the news guy, the guy who owns the tabloid news thing from Spider-Man. The guy,
Joe Jameson.
Yeah, Jameson. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's actually the same guy that voices him. Omni-Man is voiced by that guy. And it's so good. Like, he's actually a really good voice actor. And he actually looks kind of like him, you know, the dad mustache and you know, the kind of generic...
Looks like a bit of an arsehole.
Yeah. I mean, he looks like the stereotypical, like, 1960s American dad.
Okay, I'll think I say villain.
But like really, but like built instead of kind of thin. Anyway, so that happens, and the rest of the series becomes like the audience now knows that he's done this.
Yeah.
And the world, like government organization, the S.H.I.E.L.D. equivalent, they suspect that he did this because he's the only one that lived, and the details are kind of sketchy. But his story is like, you know, the lights went out and something attacked all of us, and I barely managed to survive. And
also,
you know,
how much S.H.I.E.L.D. did you actually watch?
S.H.I.E.L.D.? Is it a series?
Oh, I thought you said S.H.I.E.L.D., yeah.
I did say S.H.I.E.L.D., but I mean S.H.I.E.L.D. from like the Marvel movies.
Yeah, how much? Cause they were their own series. That's why.
I didn't know. I never watched it.
Okay. Okay, I won't say anything about it because it's massive spoilers. Mind you, it's massive spoilers for like 5 years ago when I watched it. But they all turned out to be corrupt as fuck and working with the enemy.
Of course. So yeah, this happens, and while his father is recovering in the hospital now, the kid has to essentially learn the little that his father taught him, and he's still getting used to his powers, and he tries to, save people and do his best to help out, and he stops a bank robbery. He then like an alien invasion happens, just a generic alien invasion. They use that
it happens.
They use that to introduce some of the other side characters.
Okay.
And so eventually, though, his dad does recover, and you start like he's seen as this Superman type figure by the general public, like this, you know, perfectly honest and upright person, just a great guy. But I
feel like you skipped over the alien invasion a little bit.
I'm getting to that.
Okay.
So the aliens invade repeatedly, and it's not really important, like, who they are. They're just a villain used to set up some of the other characters and to do a little bit more development for the Omni-Man. You're making weird faces, and I don't know why.
Like, even if you say they're just pure evil, like the Daleks, right?
Yeah.
There has to be more to it. There has to be like, oh, why are they so evil? And where is their planet? What are they coming here for?
I'm getting to that.
Okay.
Jesus. But they're not important. When I say that, it's 100% true. They are not important. They are just a device to set up the other characters. They're completely... You could replace them with anything. There could be, like, a black hole that opened up and turds started flying out, and it wouldn't matter. They're just there to set up the other characters. They have no real purpose beyond that. Anyway,
that winds me up.
so the dad recovers right as the aliens have invaded for like a third time. They invade once, they get repelled, they invade again, and then they work hard and they manage to repel them again. And this is setting up how he's like, the son is learning how to use his powers and how to work with these other superheroes and what their powers are. And then the third time they invade, they're about to kill this group of heroes because they've figured out how to beat them. And
an Omni-Man flies in and kills all the heroes for them.
No. And then, so part of the aliens' backstory is that time works differently in their dimension that they're coming from. So, like, every, like, hour here is, like, several weeks to them. And so that's why they're able to invade over and over again with better and better technology. But this is important because this is setting up, it's showing a little bit more of, like, how Omni-Man is kind of morally sketchy. He shows up, he saves the heroes, his son and all the other ones that are there, and then punches one of the aliens through the portal and goes in after him. And there's the son goes home and he's telling his mother, like, did something happen to Dad? And she's like, oh God, because he just recovered from being brutally hit. And he's like, oh, he went into another, he went into this dimensional portal with these other aliens. And she's like, oh, okay. He's like, you're not worried? That's just Tuesday. And so, but then it goes to a montage of him and the other planet and just essentially threatening them. And it's just a montage of him over like a week or so, just destroying their entire planet. Like, he wipes out cities, he knocks down satellites, the main guy that had been fighting his son, he like essentially punches him through a bunch of buildings until he's just like a pulp of a skull. Just massacres everyone, and then it cuts to the end where he's basically holding up a giant mountain above some, like, the last few remaining survivors, and they're working on a computer, and they open a portal for him to get out. He goes out the portal, and the mountain drops and finishes off the last of them. So he just goes in there and just genocides the whole planet. Why would they
make a portal for him?
I don't know. It's implied that, whatever he was doing was so horrible that was preferable just to get him out of there. So yeah. And then he comes home and he walks through the door and just, like, again, generic sitcom fashion, he's just like, oh, I need a shower. Like, that's it. Because, it had been a few hours, but it had been a few weeks on the other side of the portal. And so, again, it's showing how him as a character, he can, like, he's doing all these morally ambiguous things, or just straight up morally bad things. And he's just perfectly normal and natural around his family, just gonna keep his life normal. But as the series goes on, and I'm focusing mostly on this main character, this guy Omni-Man, the Superman equivalent, because, like, he's the reason that I'm staying to watch the show. Because as it goes on, like, first of all, you want to know why the hell did he kill everyone? Because they were ostensibly his friends. And why and why is he just perfectly fine with just wiping out this whole alien species? And as the series goes on, you start to realize that he actually had a reason. He didn't necessarily want to wipe out the Justice League equivalent. But he was obligated to for some reason. And that's all tied into the fact that his son is getting his powers. And so it's implied that there's some deep motivation there, that he doesn't actually want to be doing this, and that he still, like, loves his wife and son, and he wants them to understand why he's doing this.
It sounds a lot like Homelander.
No. Whereas Homelander was, like, kind of an emotionally insecure baby and a narcissist, this guy has a lot more complexity than that. Like, he does morally ambiguous things, but it's never implied that he does them necessarily casually or just to do up himself. Like, once Homelander in the Boys series, he is able to be intimidated and cowed and threatened by the idea that people will start to hate him. Like, he needs people to love him. When Omni-Man, when the government and his wife start to realize what he's done, like, he doesn't give a fuck. He's still, like, feels like he has a duty to fulfill, and he's going to proceed forward with his objective. So, on the surface, yeah, they're similar, but I think that the way that they're characterizing this guy is a lot better. The finale's next week. I may change my opinion completely by then, but like as of the episode I just watched, his son has seen him just do something morally questionable, and his wife has already found out that he killed the Justice League people, and so this episode was mostly like him trying to get to his son to talk to him and try and explain why he did what he did, and his wife with the government organization trying to slow him down and stop him in some way.
Okay. See, I think part of the reason it's such an attractive a concept to be watched is that we do need more villain stories, I think.
Yeah. People who... Yeah. No, sorry, finish your thought.
Well, just regarding superheroes alone... On the trampoline again. Just regarding the superheroes alone, like... There are so many Marvel movies. So many. And... There's 1, 2 villain movies that they've released. That's... Wait, do you want to guess?
I'm trying to think what... I mean... when
I
you
say
said
villain, they're not villains because they're still the good guys, but they're villains.
Winter Soldier, maybe?
No.
Yeah, I don't know. What movies are you talking about?
I was going to say Venom.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yep.
And, oh, fuck's sake. There's an even more obvious one. Fuck.
Well, if you think of it, but I get your point that there's a lot of movies about these morally Punisher, morally upright hero kind of characters, but
yeah, and then you have it's renowned in the DC universe that the Punisher is like even the superheroes are afraid of the Punisher.
Yeah,
like there are so many alternate universe comics for Marvel where the Punisher just kills all of the heroes.
Mm. Well, that I think is why Thanos was such like an effective villain in the Marvel movies, because he was, well, at least up until the very last movie, because they sort of retconned him into a generic mustache twirling villain. But up until that point, like you could sort of understand his point of view. Like he'd gone, like he was a very morally ambiguous character. Even though he was about to do something horrible, he had a motivation that you could sort of understand. So that's kind of why I'm like, but you're right. There's more of a need for that, and I wouldn't even call this guy a villain. Like in this series that I've been watching, like
I mean, the Punisher's not a villain.
Yeah, but that's why I really want to see how they resolve this in this series, because they've set him up as a very complicated character, and the mystery of why he did what he did, because it's heavily implied that he did it for a good reason, or that he had, even if it's not a good reason, he had a reason to do it. It wasn't just wanton slaughter. So like I've been speculating, like, oh, what does this mean? Like maybe there's something like if his son's powers develop to a point, maybe his people, the alien people from his planet, are gonna come by and do something, or maybe, yeah, I just don't know.
Yeah, I mean, so as the Marvel universe has gone along, they've moved away from real world, not issues. Well, yes, issues, but so like I always refer to the first Iron Man because that was like the best, right?
Yeah, that movie was awesome.
He was fighting terrorists in a foreign country supplied by like an arms dealer that was essentially his business partner.
Yeah.
What a great fucking concept, because it's, I was gonna say relatable. It's something you can imagine happening in real life. Now it's X random person who you've never met before was in a mutation lab in Siberia. Like, how many times have you heard that story? So many times. And it's just like, we don't know, like, the moment someone says science lab, they can mean literally fucking everything. And granted, they did that in Venom.
Yeah.
But then, Venom was more like they're marketing. They're taking in homeless people, experimenting on them, and trying to create a, like, I don't know, a viable product. Like,
Yeah.
it was about business, essentially.
Yeah, more like down-to-earth kind of story. Something that
Yeah.
you could see real humans doing.
Exactly. It's not just, you know, I want to destroy X because feels from childhood. Or I'm a robot, so therefore I want to kill all the humans.
I will...
Go on.
Sorry, just that reminded me, and I realized I spent that entire description of the plot of that series talking about basically two characters. There's a whole other cast of characters. Some of them are interesting, some of them are not. There's like a subplot about some teen drama, like in one of the superhero teams breaks up because there's a... It's actually kind of a funny scene. There's this guy who's kind of a douche who's dating this other girl who's a classmate of the son, the main character. And
That's a lot of links, but I'm just gonna go with it.
Yeah, but just go on. So, it turns out one of his classmates at his school is actually a superhero too, and she's dating this other guy who's also a superhero, but he's kind of a douchebag. And there's another superhero in their team who is this girl who can replicate herself as many times as she wants. So she catches him in the shower having a three-way with three of the duplicates of the duplicating girl. And they break up. There's a whole bunch of like teen drama in it that honestly didn't really interest me that much. There were a couple moments where I was like, oh god, I can't take this. Just fast forward a little bit till they get to somebody interesting.
Oh, God. It's really shit. If I have to fast forward something, it has to be really fucking bad.
Yeah. It's just like, it was like extreme cringe. And I was just like, that's not why I'm here.
Yeah, I kind of got that when, you know, the first time when Starlight goes into the boardroom and Aqua Dick just like, it's like, suck my dick.
Oh god.
That is like such a cringy scene. I fucking hated that.
That was pretty...
Anything about that Aqua douche was like, just...
I honestly, going back to The Boys, I felt that we're jumping around to different series, but The Boys, the Aquaman equivalent, whatever his name was, the Deep, that's what they called him.
That was it.
He was, he was a character that at the very beginning, he was such an utter douchebag, but by the end of the series, I was actually feeling bad for him.
He was just pathetic.
Yeah, that's the thing, he was just like, it's like, oh my god.
All the time, he was pathetic.
Yeah. There was a point where he was trying to get his life back together, and then the world just shit on him again, and then he goes back to being pathetic.
Yeah, but that's the thing. He was also being a douche at that time, so I have, like, he wasn't... He was trying to get his life back together by fucking over other people, and, like, fuck that. I hate him.
Was he actually? I thought he was...
Yeah.
He joined, like, some religious thing, and they were gonna...
Yeah, he was doing it for power, because the moment that they didn't do what he asked for, he had a little tantrum. Also, the Speed Dude obviously signed up for it on his thing. The Speed Dude got something that Aqua Dude didn't, and Aqua Dude had a little tantrum again.
Well, that's why I would have a tantrum too, because they promised that they would get them both back into the organization, and then the moment they found that the organization only wanted one of them, they dumped him like nothing. And they were like, oh yeah, we're going to bring in this other guy that you recruited. We'll just use him.
They didn't dump him, they just said he'd have to hang out on for longer.
No, they didn't. They told him straight up that we're not bringing you back. And then the religious organization dumped him like a fucking sack of potatoes. That's why I thought he was becoming a little bit more of a sympathetic character for me.
I don't know, I'll never have sympathy for him, but...
Yeah. I'm not saying I had sympathy for him, I'm saying I found him more sympathetic after that.
Right.
Like, I could see myself actually, like, I felt like, oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
Like, whereas before it was more of like a haha, you kind of deserve that. But yeah, some of the other characters, and there's also this whole subplot with the son of the main character back in Invincible, the Amazon series I was talking about. The son of the main character, his name is Mark. I'm just going to call him that. Where Mark is like, he has this crush on this really abrasive girl in his school.
I don't care about the drama.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, she's just... There's this whole subplot at the end about how he's all depressed and going out to find him. it's how he gets out in the open so his father can get to him. But he goes off on his own because he's like depressed that she's mad that he was late for a few dates because he was saving people because he's a hero.
Fuck her.
And that's what I said. I'm like, fuck you. It's like, yeah, if he's out there saving like hundreds of thousands of people or the planet or some shit, and like, and because of that he's 10 minutes late for your fucking date, fuck off.
No, if he's just doing a job and making a living, like,
yeah. I was like, no, this chick is a brat. Like, I mean, I guess in the show they're all like late teens, so like 18, 19-year-olds.
Oh yeah, fuck them then, they know better.
Yeah, it's like you're an adult. Like, you know, people, have respect for this dude because he's trying to make something of himself. He's going out, he's saving people's lives, and he's still trying to make time for you. And you're still treating him like shit.
Yeah, well, I'll bring you to the burning people next time.
The one
How about that?
the one point that I did have a little bit of sympathy for her on was that he didn't tell her he was a superhero. She kind of found out on her own. So
who cares?
With that regard, it's like, yeah. Okay.
If I found out tomorrow that Alicia could, like, throw cars around, I wouldn't love her any less.
Well, that's the other thing. It's like, I was thinking, I put myself in those shoes too. Like, if somebody else was, like, if I found out, like, somebody I'd been dating for a while was a superhero, my reaction wouldn't be, well, why didn't you tell me? It'd be like, that's so fucking cool. Thank you for telling me.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's a lot of like that drama stuff. It doesn't occupy enough of the series to like make it worse. There's a couple cringy bits that I just had to go like, I don't want to see this. Just get it out of my face. There's also
But overall a good watch.
Huh?
But overall a good watch.
Overall a very good watch. I would highly recommend, but beware, it is very gory and very violent. Like,
more so than The Boys?
It's animated.
Is there any more C4 up the butt?
It's animated, so I think they can get away with a little bit more. So I'd say that it's if animation like affects you the same way live action does, then it can get pretty bad. There's a scene
what about,
where
like, compared to like Dead Man Wonderland, just for an idea for myself,
it's more gory than that.
Oh, nice.
So there's a scene where Omni-Man has just beaten the shit out of these like cyborg things that the government organization sends at him to stop him, and he rips one of them in half, and its like intestines are all out, and they're spying on him with a camera, like these little camera bots.
Why does a robot got intestines?
It's a cyborg thing.
Oh, right, sorry.
And so it's like a human, like a dead human mixed with machines, and they reanimate it and used it as a weapon to fight him. And he rips one of them in half, and he sees the camera drone like spying on them, and so instead of like blowing it up, he grabs it and shoves it up inside the dead thing, so everyone watching on the screen can just, they get all this viscera and gore right up in their faces, and it shows like people in the control room like vomiting and stuff, because so he's doing, it's like a psychological warfare kind of thing. Like, it's a really fucked up thing to do. It
just looked like, if for a start, if you put a camera that close to anything, it would just be black.
Yeah. Again, it's not suspension of disbelief in some portions, and it didn't. To be fair, it didn't really gross me out that much. But I did a biomedical engineering degree. I got used to seeing like intestines and guts and things.
I hate gore and guts, but I don't think that would make me. Did they do the classic TV trope of someone walks in with a cup of coffee and goes
no. Although that would have been funny. Yeah, there's a few like really good moments, and there is some elements of that coming of age drama that's done well, with the son like kind of learning about himself and his powers. And did you just spill coffee all over yourself?
Again. Again. Did I tell you about the other day?
No. Okay. I've said basically all I wanted about this. So yeah, let's end it off with your coffee story.
Okay, it's not a particularly fascinating story, but like Friday, yeah, maybe it was Thursday. Anyway, I woke up getting ready for the course online, right?
Yeah.
And go downstairs. It's like 3 minutes till the course starts. pour myself the coffee, just poured the boiling hot coffee, and stupid fucking mug. It's not this one. This one has a proper handle. This is a good handle, right?
Yeah.
It's like too small so that you can't fit 3 fingers in it, but it's too big so that when 2 fingers are in it, it doesn't reach to the... Anyway. So I pick it up, it slides, boiling hot water all down the back of my hand.
Yeah.
It didn't really hurt too much because I put milk in it, fortunately, but... Yeah, so I had to clean that up and then rush into the lesson like half a minute late. And then later that day, we go on break, I pick up my coffee, does the same fucking thing because the handle's stupid, and I get coffee all over my keyboard.
Oh, God.
It's not my week for coffee.
No.
That's why I'm only using this beautiful cup now.
Just a mess.
Bigger as well.
Where did I put my... Oh, I'm out of tea.
But yes.
Oh, man.
Man, we weren't meant to... I could have talked about Digimon for fucking ever.
Yeah, you've been watching a lot of that.
We haven't talked about it at all since we started watching it, and now we're on like episode 40 or something?
Jesus. Yeah, I see you guys watching it every now and again.
Yeah, we watch several episodes a day. God, I have very different memories to how it was as a kid.
Really?
Yeah, like the first season is fine. Like the Devilmon one, great series. I'd recommend that to anyone. It's a lot of fun. It's very childlike. The transformation scenes do get a bit
tedious after a while.
Yeah, but not nearly as bad as it does in the later series. Because it's not like one stage that they're transforming through. It's like 3 stages, and there's like 6 of them.
Don't they partially fast forward through that though? If I remember,
they try to, but it's still every single time the same animation over and over and over and over again. Second part, because it's not... I think it's technically one series is like 60 episodes. I'm just flying through this, by the way. Is when they fight... the main enemy is Etamon. They leave File Island to go to File Server.
Yeah.
Something. And it kind of gets a bit weird, because for a start... One thing you have to bear in mind from the start of this is that the classes of Digimon do not correspond to anything outside of this animation series. So Ultimates and Champions are all mixed up and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the fight with Etamon, there's a lot of points where it's just like, the classic trope of, the enemy should just fucking kill the kid, alright? Not because I want that, but because that's just, like, why would you leave them alive? Why would you walk into the room aside next to it and leave them on their own for 20-odd minutes? Go on.
I'm just remembering one of the commentaries from the zero punctuation review of the Pokemon games. I think the only one he ever reviewed was Pokemon White, and he's like, whenever he was fighting a rival or one of the criminal organizations in it, and he's like, every time you beat them, they just give up and walk away. And it's like, what the hell are you thinking? He's fighting you with a puppy. You still have a foot, don't you?
I don't know. I wouldn't want to try and kick Charizard.
Well, yeah, if you're fighting that thing. But I'm like, if he's fighting you with a Rattata, just boot it across the...
Yeah.
Sorry, a little side.
And then the third part, right, is like Demi Devamon, who's fucking with the kids. And that sounds wrong. He's misleading them. And he's doing it for Vamdemon.
Yeah.
And that's when they start, like, every single episode, they are kicking you in the feels. Like, holy shit. Every single episode, it's like some really dark social nightmare. Where, like, I don't know, one person on the team thinks that someone else is purposefully making more work for them so that they don't leave them. And then there's, like, internal fighting and...
Don't they split up at one point, too?
Yeah, this is when they split up.
Oh, okay.
And, like, the little brother starts to hate his big brother because he was told that his big brother just left him and walked away. And there's some really sad things. And it's like, but this isn't the nice, friendly Digimon I had in the first part. Like, they're not friendship and all that.
It's even... doesn't it get even worse when they go back to the human world? Like, there's, like, terrorism and shit?
I wouldn't say it's quite as bad, but, like, at one point, he's, like, force-feeding his Digimon because he wants him to evolve faster. And there's, like, so many really bad things. Yeah. And then they go to the human world. And it's kind of weird because they... it's just there's a lot of continuity errors. And the final fight goes on for about 5 episodes. Just the final fight.
Oh, it's still got nothing on Dragon Ball Z.
They kill the boss with this new amazing evolution that they have. The boss comes to life. Then they have to have another new special animation evolving thing to get to a higher level to beat him again. And that takes 5 fucking episodes. I was bored by the end of that fight. And that's the worst thing you can do for a final boss fight, is have it go on for too long.
I mean, welcome to the Majin Buu saga in Dragon Ball Z. It lasted for like 3 seasons. Just one fight.
And now they've gone back to the Digimon world, and all the Digimon have been enslaved. And it's like, what? This is so not like... They took a really dark turn.
Oh, is this with the whole, like, obelisk things and...
Yeah, the Spiral Mountain.
That's what it was.
And Waymon, the greatest Digimon in the fucking universe, by the way. He's awesome.
Who's Waymon?
They're like... Waymon. What?
Yeah, who is he? Describe him to me.
The giant whale.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah.
Fucking awesome dude, alright? They're fighting like Metal Seedramon. And they're about to defeat Metal Seedramon. Like, it's literally one attack away from him dying. A Metal Seedramon shoots Waymon in the head. Like, a bolt goes through Waymon's head. And Waymon's fucking awesome, and it's like...
I don't remember this.
It's just so sad now. And then he's like, don't worry, I have faith in you, kind of thing. And then he dissolves in front of them.
And he's dead.
With like a bullet in his... Oh, it's so sad. It's needlessly sad.
That reminds me
yes, that's where we're at. That being said, I do love Digimon.
Yeah. that reminds me of the one that I had that experience with was Captain Planet. Like, I remember watching that show when I was a kid. And it's pure Greenpeace propaganda, but watching it as an adult. But that show is like brutally violent in some places. Like, they've got a thing on gang violence where an entire family gets slaughtered by a gang, and they've got like a episode about whaling where they like chop up like a mother whale and its babies are swimming around sadly in its blood, and it's just, what the fuck? I don't remember the series being that bad.
God. Poor Waymons.
Yeah, yes, speaking of whales, that's actually what made me think of it, because the whale thing.
God.
Oh, God. Okay,
anyway, sorry. Yeah, I didn't need to go on that tangent, but it was pretty concise.
I mean, we kept...
That was almost a 10-minute... a long story short of Digimon.
Yeah. I mean, segment 1 was pretty short this week, so we had extra time.
True.
All right.
Can't be worse than last week.
Yeah, I cannot wait until next week to see the finale of that show. I've been just really, really liking it. Anyway, yeah, let's end it there.
Segment 3. Is there anything planned for segment 3 this week? I can't remember.
Neither can I.
Last week?
We'll figure it out in the interim.
Week. It's long story short.
Is it long story short?
It is.
All right, long story short in segment 3. All right, this is going to be the end of segment 2 of the TMCJ podcast. Thank you all for listening, and you'll hear us momentarily for segment 3. Welcome back to the TMCJ podcast. We are on segment 3, our wild card, which we just remembered is long story short this week. Not something... That's right, we're on the ball with this podcast. You know, we know exactly what we're doing, and honestly, I kind of wish that we could put these segments in reverse, because I feel like we always start out like kind of slow and lethargic, or usually do, and then by the end of the podcast or at least that's how I feel.
I see. Yeah, it gets the blood pumping.
Or that could just be the caffeine.
Yeah, I'm limiting myself. I've been drinking 4 cups of coffee a day. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's how focused I'm trying to be on work.
Typically, like, my maximum caffeine, I do, like, pot of tea, some kind of black tea, and then usually green tea a little bit later in the day, maybe after lunch or something like that.
Oh, you rogue.
That's just a little bit of extra... Alright, we're already getting off topic. Long story short, reminder, if you haven't seen us play this or heard us play this before, it's a game where we go through 3 rounds, and we try to very quickly describe the lore or story of either a movie, book, video game, historical event, what have you. And the first round, we choose one for ourselves, something that we know and think we can summarize very quickly. Second round, something that we know the other person knows and ask them to describe quickly. And then the third round, something that they probably don't know too much about and have them try to describe it very quickly. Again, 2-minute time limits, right? Was it 2 minutes or a minute and a half?
2 minutes. I'm pretty sure it's 2 minutes.
Yeah, 2 minutes sounds right.
I think it changes every week, but that's fine.
It's just, if we remember.
Roll for who goes first?
Yeah. I want...
Odds or evens?
Odds.
It's a 5.
Yeah, it's my favorite number!
You're up.
Alright. I have chosen for myself... I couldn't remember. I'm not going to do this one, but it was an idea I had. Do you remember if I've done the Witcher books before?
I think I gave you the Witcher.
Okay.
At some point. No! Did you give it to me? I think you gave it to me, because I remember saying something about he then goes around banging everyone.
Oh, I think
definitely...
you're right. I was writing it down. I'm like, I don't remember describing it, but I remember us talking about it.
Yeah, you definitely gave it to me, yeah.
So
I've been watching, not Jake, Kevin, playing The Witcher like a couple days before, and all I could remember was like him at a fair or something.
Oh yeah, that's one of the DLCs, the Blood and Wine DLC. Love that one.
Yeah, and also I remember the crab in the bathtub.
Yeah. Okay. So I chose for myself, I'm going to be describing for you the life and conquests of Alexander the Great.
I thought you were going to say of Equestrian Johnson.
Well, I mean, that story's not finished being written yet.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no limit to those conquests.
I see.
Yeah. So,
that's the person that fucked a horse, right?
No.
No. That's a different person. Anyway.
Okay. Are you timing this?
Oh, yes.
Because I've got to... I was about to start the stopwatch for myself, and then I realized I can't do that. I'm talking.
Okay, I am ready. So are we saying 2 minutes?
2 minutes. And honestly, I'm going to be pretty pressed for time, even with 2 minutes.
Yeah. Alright. Sorry. My dragon is not in the right place. Okay. On your marks. Get set. Go.
Alexander the Great was born sometime in the past to Philip of Macedon, the king of Macedonia, which is north of Greece, and unlike the city-states, it was actually a monarchy and not a democracy. He conquered all of Greece, put it all together under his Macedonian empire. Then he remarried some random woman and was going to have a Macedonian wife. Alexander's mother was not Macedonian, and so that threatened Alexander's right to the throne. It's all rumored and speculated, but people think that Alexander used one of Philip's former bodyguards, who Philip will also used to be banging, to assassinate him, and then they ran the guy down. Then Alexander took over, did some conquests, reunited the Greeks again, because they're like, we're not going to follow this little kid. He was like 18 or 19 or something like that. And then he decides he's going to follow what his father's dream was, which to conquer all of Asia, which at that time meant like Turkey and the Middle East. And so he goes out and he, with some new tactics and some honestly incredible luck, he manages to conquer all of Persia. But then, when he conquers all of Persia, kicks out the king, he starts to adapt Persian styles. Also, his gay lover boy dies, and so that makes Alexander depressed. He gets wicked drunk, and he burns down a palace that the Persians liked, and then they don't like him, and then the Greeks are getting pissed at him because he's starting to act like a Persian emperor, and then he dies at 33, and his whole empire just splits up into a million different pieces.
30 seconds to go. I think 2 minutes is too long.
Yeah, let's go with a minute and a half.
Yeah.
But also, since I have time, he went into India too.
Okay. What did you do in India?
Got high on poppies.
And did what?
I don't know. So they actually, there's speculation that Alexander's conquests are what introduced the poppy plant to India, because it was native to the Middle East and Turkey.
He introduced opium to India.
Yeah.
Damn. 2 seconds.
That's the whole thing. I was going wicked fast because I thought I was running out of time. When I heard halftime, I was like, oh shit.
I think it must have been a minute we normally do.
I think it counted up. Like the first one was a minute, then a minute and a half, then 2 minutes for the last segment. Because the last one's the hardest one.
Well, yeah, but that means we'll have the least to say about it.
That's a good point. Let's go with a minute and a half. Let's see how that works out.
Okay. Alright, so the book I will be referring onto you today is called A Blast from the Past, well, just Blast from the Past by Ben Elton.
Okay. I was looking at my Audible library and I saw a Ben Elton book in there, and I'm like, did Blue recommend this to me? Because I haven't read it yet.
That was a different. That wasn't the same Ben Elton.
It's
that was
not.
a different Ben Elton.
Oh, there's a different bit.
Ben Elton is the author.
Okay.
The one that I recommended to you is Blind Faith.
Yeah, that one. Okay.
Yeah, this one's called Blast from the Past.
All right. You ready?
Hang on. Wait.
Organize your thoughts. I already fucked you up.
Okay. Yep.
All right. So 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay. Blast from the Past is it starts and stays in the same location for the whole book. Really, it's a woman in like her middle age, not in the Middle Ages. A middle-aged woman wakes up and she has like a phone call from one of her ex-lovers, and her ex-lover is like a military man from, I think, the American Army or something. And he's like, hey, I want to come over and talk to you for a bit. It's been a long time. It's been about 16 years. Fuck me, I need 2 minutes. And so she's like, alright, I guess, come over or something. He gets there and he's like, hey, I can't remember, really shitty things happen, and they hate each other, and she wants him to leave, but he won't leave. They goes back in time and says like, oh, she met him when she was like a peace rallyist, an extremist, or whatever the fuck you want to call it, and he was like just joining the army.
30 seconds.
She's all about peace, love, and nature. He's all about like war and honor and that kind of thing. They have a massive debate that she has a stalker following her who's outside the house. The stalker kills the mailman, thinking it's the guy that was visiting her. He then shoots himself in the head because of depression or something. She has like a bomb made out of compost in her apartment. The stalker tries to the stalker tries to come up. The guy shoots him, then shoots himself. Fuck. I think I need an extra 30 seconds.
I mean, I got 2 minutes. Do you want to go to 2 minutes?
Yeah,
all right, we'll do a minute 30 for the second round.
So she's like extremist. She wants to blow up Parliament or something. I can't remember. And he's like, before he shot himself, he was like, "Oh, you're what's wrong with America," kind of thing. And then when he's dead, his brother visits, and he's like a more peaceful version of him. And he's like, "Yeah, it's all right."
10 seconds.
And I think she ends up banging his brother. There you go. That was really disjointed. I kept going back to then he shoots himself because I forgot parts that were before.
Well, there was I also loved the line, "You're what's wrong with America. She was trying to blow up Parliament." What? Where was this set actually?
I think it's English, but living in America. Or like one of them was English and one of them was
English is what's wrong with America.
I'm pretty sure the soldier was American. He was trying to get a promotion, so he'd come there actually, technically, to kill her. He then shot the stalker that was coming to kill him, because the stalker loved her. I can't remember why he shoots himself. I can't remember. There was a bomb at some point.
To quote the critical drinker, because the script needed the plot to happen, maybe.
No,
I'm sure there was a reason. That was the first thing that popped into my head.
But yeah, God, it's been so many years since I read that.
All right.
It was a really good book, but yeah, it's one of these things where it's like all set in one apartment during one day, and they like go back and talk about the past and finds out why they're there and what their motives are, and crazy shit.
So.
Okay.
It's now your turn. Wait, no, it's my turn.
Yep.
You're giving something to me.
No, it's my turn to tell you what's
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're a minute and a half now, right?
It depends how much like you can talk on the subject matter, I guess.
All right, we'll give it to me.
Okay, so the first choice... I have a backup in case you don't, but... also, I don't know if we've done this before. Doom.
The new one?
The entire Doom story.
I can do that. I beat both games on Nightmare.
I mean, there's more than 2 games.
I don't know anything about the original Dooms. I can describe the Bethesda Dooms, like Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal.
Do you think there's enough interesting content there to last?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Alright, then I'll set the timer. How long do you want?
Go with a minute and a half. I think the shorter time, like, it's more of a challenge. I like that.
Okay. I feel like I failed today.
You have time to redeem yourself.
Alright. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, Doom.
So Doom 2016 starts with you waking up in Hell's drunk tank. You pop out of a tomb or sarcophagus or whatever and shoot and blast your way through some demons. And then you realize that you're on Mars and there was some sort of a research thing going on there, and they've basically gone into hell and found you in some kind of a sarcophagus, and you get woken up and you're the Doom Slayer. You're this big bad, demon killing monster dude who has just essentially slaughtered his way through hell before, and the humans, being idiots, tried to extract energy from hell on Mars, and it's caused all of these problems, and you're basically there to, fix what they fucked up. So you go through, kill a bunch of demons, stop the portal to hell, I think you kill Satan in the end, and that's the end of Doom 2016. Doom Eternal picks back up where the humans have been idiots again and kept trying to extract energy. So you go around Earth, and hell's essentially on Earth, and you slaughter all the hell priests and the demons and stuff, and then you eventually make your way back to Mars, and then go into hell again, and then go into another world, and you find out that the demons are actually these former, like, weird immortal beings who are, like, the equivalent of angels, who, like, started to draw energy from hell, and then they became corrupted too, so you're fighting angels and demons in Doom Eternal.
10 seconds.
And you find out that you have a history with them, and they betrayed you too, so you kill them as well, and you slaughter your way through, you stop both factions, and you save what remains of the human race on Earth.
Stop. Okay. You missed something out.
What did I miss?
The corrupt scientist lady who wants to become a demon lord.
Oh, yeah. And there's also the big robot dude. He's the one that owned the company that actually... There's a big robot dude that was like the head of the company that was trying to extract energy from hell.
Yes. Yeah, I vaguely remember that. But yeah, no, pretty good otherwise.
Yeah.
And excellent timing.
I mean, there was a lot of, and you slaughter demons, and you slaughter demons, and you... That's most of the games.
That's why I was like, is there enough content? Because it's basically just shooting demons.
There is actually a lot of plot, and, like the fucking pussy that I am, I actually read a lot of the dialogue and backstory and lore.
Has that made you... Also, like, the moment we started talking about it, I went back to Alex Jones again.
Oh my god.
Alex Jones is the Doom Slayer.
They did... So what we're referring to... Somebody, when Doom Eternal was coming out, somebody did a parody... Alex Jones, famous conspiracy theorist who, like, goes off on all these crazy rants about, demons and conspiracies and government cabals and whatever. And they basically did a voice... They took a cutscene from Doom Eternal and put one of his crazier rants about hell and demons over top the trailer, and it matches perfectly.
It really does.
It's so fucking funny.
And there's actually more than just that one. You're talking about the one where he like grabs the guy by the neck.
Yeah, to get his badge.
There's more than just that. There's another one as well. It's really good.
Yeah, there's a few of them. Whoever did the editing work on that, they're pretty hilarious. But
brilliant.
Yeah. The Doom Slayer. I will say that I stole the line "breaking out of hell's drunk tank" from the Zero Punctuation review, because that's how he describes it. Is you wake up in hell's drunk tank.
Yeah. I liked when you said coom.
Wait, what did I say?
you meant to say tomb, and you corrected yourself to that afterwards, but you started with coom.
Yeah.
Cool. What's my challenge?
So hopefully this will work out good for you. I was thinking about this when you were talking about Digimon. You need to describe the plot of the first season of Pokemon, the animated series.
Oh, shit. Alright, kid you not, my easy alternative one was the original Pokemon movie.
Oh, there you go. Well, that's good.
Also,
I chose it for the easy one I'm giving you.
I thought for a second there you were going to say the original Digimon World game, and I was so ready.
That one would have been good too, yeah.
I've never watched the Pokemon animated series.
You haven't?
No, not at all.
All right. Well, then I won't give you that for
I
the
can
easy
make
one.
shit up, but that'll be the hard one.
Yeah, that would be the hard one. Do the Digimon World one instead, because that's a good one.
Okay.
That's a good one.
Okay.
All right. Are you ready? This, ladies and gentlemen, is called Dead Air. In an audio format, it's really not smiled upon.
Yeah, sorry. Yes, we're good.
Okay.
Okay.
So, 3, 2, 1, go.
Digimon World starts out in a cutscene where you're playing against other people in a park with your little Digivice, and it's a thing. Don't worry. And you have like your Digimon, and you're facing against their Digimon. I think it's Metal Mamimon versus Metal Greymon. No, you're watching two people fight, and then you go home that day, and then your Digivice like suddenly activates, and you get sucked into the Digimon world where you meet Jaijamon. Jaijamon is like a Digimon who's got like a cool beard, and he's an old man, and he like sits in a hut.
1 minute
and
left.
He tells you what to do. He then tells you the world, the Digimon world, is like being corrupted, and it's breaking through to the human world, I think, and it's like making all Digimon angry. You have to reunite them in a city, so you go out, and you also get given a Digimon who is your Digimon from the Digivice, but he's like back in like baby form. No, either Agumon or Gabumon, depending on your settings. And yes, you evolve the Digimon, and you fight through the island. There's like Digimon who are really angry, but when you beat them, they become calm again, and they come and help you in the city. You grow your city, and you keep progressing through the island.
30 seconds
Eventually, you get to
left.
Mount Infinity. What?
30 seconds left.
Oh, fuck me. Okay. Eventually, you get to Mount Infinity, which is like a back door to the system. You climb all the way through Mount Infinity, fighting these evil Digimon who are incredibly tough. And then finally, you fight against Machine Dramon, who's led by another human being. And once you defeat the human being, his like power over the system fails,
Time.
and you're able to.
You were right at the end, too.
Yeah, that was pretty good. I mean, I cut out a lot of the game.
Well, yeah, I actually had forgotten about that ending. I think I did beat the game, because I remember fighting Machine Dramon.
Yeah.
When we talked about it the other day, I didn't think I ever beat the game.
I mean, Machine Dramon is the villain for almost every single Digimon game.
So, you know, when I played
that makes
Digimon World, and I was trying to remember... So, my mom's side of the family lives out in Iowa, in the middle of the United States. And since I'm in Massachusetts, it's like a 2,000-mile drive or 1,500-mile drive, something like that.
Yeah.
And, you know, we didn't have money to fly when I was a kid, so we would always drive out there. And it was like a 2-day drive to get there. And I had this tiny little, like, white TV, and I had my PlayStation 1. And so
Nice.
we bought, like, we had a car outlet thing, so it'd plug into the cigarette lighters, and then you could... So I would, this tiny ass TV in my PlayStation. So for the whole 2-day trip, I was like, you know, 7 or 8 years old. So I couldn't participate in the trip. When I was older, I actually was expected to drive for part of the trip.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just my dad and mom. But I used to play Digimon World on that little PlayStation in the back of the car, like for the whole 2-day
make me
trip.
vomit, but I would still play it.
I don't have like motion sickness issues.
Nice.
But the other thing is, like, driving in that part of the country, like, the middle of the United States is flat. So it's not like the car was bobbing or moving around. We're driving in a straight line for like
Right.
1,000 miles.
Yeah, I mean, you obviously remember where I live particularly. It's very hilly.
Oh yeah, that where you like around where you live is much more like the roads around where I live. Massachusetts is the same way. Sorry, little bit of outside information.
Yeah.
But that's when that's where I played the game the most, was on those trips.
Damn. What are you drinking?
It's green tea.
Oh right, that's like piss.
So it's green tea. It's a drink that I like to make. It's green tea with ice and then a drop of blue curacao, which is a liqueur. So
curacao.
it doesn't actually make it alcoholic because it's barely any, but it's enough to change the green tea from a golden flavor to like a kind of murky green color, and I call it swamp water.
Yeah.
It's tasty.
Right. Are you ready for your hard difficulty?
I am cracking my knuckles in
Alrighty.
anticipation.
How much do you know about One Piece?
I know the basic
Perfect.
lore. So I read.
Just
I
look at
read.
your face, I could tell.
I know the basic lore, and I have a
Okay.
general idea. I read the manga up until a certain point. Oh, well, I should rephrase this. I read a poorly translated free version of the manga up until like a certain point where they were fighting some big ass shark dude, and
That could be like episode 3 of the animated series.
oh no, it was much further than that. The animation, I think the anime equivalent. I was at least 100 episodes in, but that being said,
Okay. We on
that was
Fishman
like
Island.
what?
Fishman Island?
Maybe,
Not ringing a bell? Was it underwater?
maybe.
Okay.
It's been 10 years
I mean,
since I
there's
read
like
this.
900 episodes now, so I'm not expecting you to get all of them. I want to get as much as I can from you, and also some maybe made up stuff.
It's been 10
Yes,
years
yeah.
since I've even read the manga, so yeah. Because I read it one
Okay.
summer in between college. But yeah, go on. I'm ready. I'm ready to either bullshit or talk my way through this.
Alright, we're doing a minute 30 or 2 minutes?
Minute 30. Let's keep
Okay,
it going.
right. Oops. 3, 2, 1, go.
One Piece is about a stretchy elastic man who wants to be a pirate, and he lives in a world that's all oceans with just a little bit of land, and there's also this strip of storms that go around the middle of the planet, and people can't get through it because it's something that blocks people from doing something. I don't know. Anyway, he wants to be a pirate, and he goes around on goofy adventures, standard shonen anime, and then he recruits random people that don't really like him, but he likes them and wants to work with them because their goals coincide or something like that. Like, they all have some motivation. One guy wants to be a chef. There's a woman who just wants to be a woman. There's another one. There's a guy who like is like a samurai. There's
Also,
and then they go off and they get into conflicts with these other pirate groups and stuff like that. But it always gets resolved because Stretchy Man just puts his arms out and spins around and kicks everyone's ass. And I think his name is Luffy or Rufy or something like that. And they eventually they go to all these different islands, and it's sort of like the original Dragon Ball series, where every time they go to an island, it's like a different theme. Like there's a Chinese island, and there's like it's a European island, and then there's like a steampunk island, and they find treasure, and then they get bigger and bigger boats. I'm making shit up at this point. I don't know what happens, and then probably something happens a few times to reset everything, like Pokemon, so they can keep going for another 300 episodes.
That's awful.
Did I get any of that right?
The main character, Rufy.
Is his name Luffy? Is that right?
Yeah, it's Luffy.
I got it right the first time.
Yeah, then you decide to go for like the drug.
All right, did I get? He's stretchy and stuff though, right?
Yes, he has rubber powers, but you didn't expect why he has rubber powers.
Oh, I don't know. I just assumed like plot convenience.
So there's the devil fruits, which means that if you eat one, you get special powers, but you can't
Oh.
swim. Like you'll just drown.
Oh, I remember
If
that
you
now that he
ever
can't
touch
swim.
water.
Yeah, I remember that point.
Yeah. So there's Roronoa Zoro, who's the samurai. Sanji, who's the chef.
Mhm.
And Nami, who's the woman. Who, by the way, she's like indebted into slavery
That's
by
what it
shark
was.
people.
Yeah, she had a debt.
Yeah,
I couldn't
and then
remember what
she's-
her plot motivation was. That's why she was
She's
like,
a master thief and navigator.
okay.
Um,
Also, her
And
name
then-
is literally ocean in Japan or in Japanese. Doesn't
Oh.
Nami just mean sea?
I don't know.
I think that means sea in Japanese. Anyway, go
you
on.
forgot about Usopp, but no one gives a shit about Usopp because he's a
Is there a guy that wants to be a chef?
Sanji.
Okay.
He's a legend. He kicks everyone. Then there's a bunch of characters which I assume you didn't get to in the story yet, like Brooke and Chopper and all that.
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
stuff.
I'm assuming there's a ton of. Those are the people who were in the cast when I was up to where I got to.
The strip of land around the world isn't storms. It's just like fucking mountains. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, I thought that there was like a storm strip that they couldn't get through. So is
don't
it
think
just
so.
land?
Yeah, so it's like it's a landlocked strip on both sides, and it's called the Grand Line, and that's where all the best pirates go to. And that's where you missed the main plot of the whole story. That's where Gold Roger left his treasure.
Oh, okay.
when he then went and got himself executed before.
I'm remember now that you're describing this. I'm remembering these people. I knew that there was a line of something that they couldn't cross, and that was a big thing that they had to.
Yeah.
It was part of the plot, but I couldn't remember why.
And Luffy wants to be the pirate king.
Okay.
That's what he wants. Yeah.
It's taken him long enough.
You got the nautical theme. There were boats. Yeah. I don't know what the European islands were that you were talking about.
Well, I thought that like every island they went to had like a different theme. Like there was like a Victorian themed island. There was like an Oriental themed island. There was.
I mean, they all have themes, but they're not really particularly.
Well, I used countries and cultural as an example, but
yeah, I think you're just swinging a miss on that a little bit. You just chose the wrong kind of theme.
Yeah, maybe it's like Food Island or Ice Island.
Yeah,
or...
I mean, there was like one based on Egypt, way down the line. Which
Yeah,
I guess kind of counts. But yeah, good job.
We should show that clip right there to Scott and just get his reaction because he's been watching it. He's still watching One Piece, I think.
Yeah, I think he's gone back to it.
Yeah,
I gave up on like episode 600 and something.
And then he gets a bunch of ships, and then he probably loses them, so they can do another 300 episodes.
He has one ship. Actually, no, they do change ships eventually. They're called the Going Mary, and it kind of gets. They get a guy called Frankie who like upgrades it, so it's got missile launchers and shit on it. It's kind of weird.
Dear God.
Yeah.
All right.
It has
Well,
like a multi-tier system. Anyway, yes.
So that's that. Let's see. So, this is why I asked you if you knew anything about Roman history, because what I have for you, I was thinking history when I was writing these down, apparently, because I had Pokemon and the whole Alexander thing I did for me. The Spartacus Rebellion.
I have no idea at all.
Okay.
By the way, my alternatives for your part 3 was Metal Gear Solid or the Cuban Missile Crisis.
I actually know more about Metal Gear Solid, which is weird because I've never played
Really?
any of the games. The Cuban Missile Crisis, I know the basics of it.
That's like, how do you not know about that? That's modern American. Well, in modern,
semi-modern. I mean, I have the basic understanding of it, but there really isn't too much to it. Like I could probably describe it in 45 seconds.
And all that other good shit.
So the other, still on the Roman theme, the other one was
Yes.
Caesar's conquest of Rome. Do you know that one? When he marched on Rome, the basic understanding of that.
I didn't know he marched on Rome, to be honest.
That's how we went from the Roman Republic to the Roman Principate.
I haven't studied Rome since I was a very
This is
young
my
child.
problem with like being kind of obsessed with history.
Yeah.
I kind of just there's all these things that I think are just common knowledge, but people don't.
History-wise, I know stuff between the 1910 and up to modernish day. That's mostly what I know. History.
Okay. Oh God! Now I'm on the spot here, trying to think about some alternatives.
Sorry, yeah. Like the amount of stuff I know about Roman history mostly comes from Assassin's Creed at this point.
Oh God. Well, hold on. Waffle for a minute and talk about something while I brainstorm.
Oh, I would fucking kill for a waffle right now, with some like whipped cream and a.
I had a slice of cheesecake in the fridge.
You're not meant to be thinking about this. You're meant to be thinking about other things. What puddings do I have? I've got like some orange flavored sweet baguette thing.
What
I don't really know what
about
it's called.
let's try something from your own country's history.
Oh dear.
Let's see how this goes. The history of. Oh, wait, is that a? Wasn't St. George's Day in England pretty recently?
George and the Dragon.
George and the Giant Peach.
No, George and the Dragon.
Yeah, I know. Didn't he like slay a dragon? Is that him like conquering Wales? This is me just waffling again.
Yeah, I think that's the dragon is the one on the Welsh flag. I think.
Crap.
Or am I thinking of the wrong? I don't know.
Fuck it. Agincourt. Go.
The Battle of Agincourt.
Not the battle. Not just the battle. The lead up to it. Why the English were victorious, and then the battle itself.
Was that during the War of the Roses?
It was the 100 Years War.
Can't remember. I don't know.
It's 100 Years War.
Don't do a history one.
History's in my head today. All right. Let's try a movie or a game then. I am going to go down my list of games and I'm going to pick something that might be something that you sort of know about, but don't know entirely.
I'll choose a movie that like you're thinking about showing that I mean, most of the movies I haven't seen.
How about well, no, let's try games first.
Okay.
How about the game? Oh shit! I just had it. Fuck.
So Waffles, right? They've got this lovely.
God damn it.
Would I prefer a crumpet over a waffle? Though? That's the real question. A
Screw
nice
it.
Buttery crumpet.
Plot of Portal.
Portal.
1 and 2.
Okay. 1 and 2. Okay. Okay. Sure.
All right.
1 minute 30.
3, 2, 1, go.
Portal is all about you're like a human who's been trapped in a facility that's being ruled over by a maniacal AI lady. I say lady because the voice actor is female. And she's like putting you through a bunch of tests. And it's just like simple tests, but in all the meantime, she's actually trying to kill you. So you have this portal gun which she gives you. And it allows you to make entrances on walls that come out on other walls.
1 minute left.
Once you, eventually she tries harder and harder to kill you. She implements like these little drones that try and shoot you with bullets. Eventually you get to her like main room and you basically tear her apart. And then you like trap her inside of a potato, I think. That leads into the second game where you still have the potato on the end of your portal gun. And she's trying to help you now to stop a different maniacal AI played by a very funny comedian in real life.
30 seconds.
And you basically do the same thing. I don't know if there's also parts about like a second person in the second game, but I think that's only for the co-op. And eventually, I think you actually break out and get to the surface, and the cake is a lie. And
10 seconds.
I want cake now. Yeah, you just kind of, again, you just tear him apart, and then he gets sucked into space, because you make a portal on the moon, and it gets... Yeah.
So you got a good chunk of that right. She actually gets put in the potato in the second game.
Oh.
So you tear her apart and get to the surface at the end of the first game, but a completely different person who's being experimented on, I think.
Yeah, you come out in like a field of wheat, don't you?
Yeah. And in the second game, you get woken up by this guy, Wheatley, who is the comedian guy you're talking about.
Yeah.
And you essentially like plug him into her old body, and she's kept alive in a limited state in a potato, which she follows you around and gives you instructions. The thing is that Wheatley guy is programmed to be incompetent, and so he keeps fucking everything up. And so, she helps you defeat him, and then he does get launched into space, which is how he gets into Skyrim.
What?
He shows up in Skyrim.
At what point?
There's a free DLC where his little orb thing falls down into Skyrim, and you can turn him into a helmet. I'm not kidding. It's a fun DLC, but it totally exists.
Oh my god! I can't believe I haven't heard of that before.
God, I played. So yeah, I
played all of Portal 1. I completed it completely in like 6 hours. It was when I was still living at home.
Yeah, Portal 2 also had a bit of... I mean, Portal 1 was... Yeah, it was very...
I never played Portal 2.
Very bare bones. Portal 2 had a lot more plot to it and a lot more background, where they're talking about the company and how they got to where they are. Like, essentially, they... It's implied heavily that GLaDOS, the robot lady, was actually the former secretary of the head of the company. And just in a desperate bid to make some technology work before the company fails, they essentially convert her brain into the AI and she's like so traumatized by this, she actually releases poison gas into the whole company and kills everyone.
Yeah.
It's a very dark story when you dig down into that.
When you dig into the lore, yeah.
But yeah, that's. I mean, long story short, we actually had some pretty good ones this time. I think. Faltered a little bit at the end there. I dropped the ball in the last second, but
I think we both had good and bads. Cool. Well, what are we looking forward to next week?
I don't know. What is the next segment? Are we gonna go back to reviewing like dinosaur smut?
That's what the segment would be. We could do.
I mean, we could do
Eye of Argon.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, we haven't finished Eye of Argon yet. We also we could just do a book review in general, just stuff that we've liked. Something a little bit more
for
slow.
That I need to actually read a book. I haven't read a book in a while. Actually, I'm rereading the 13 and a Half Lives of Captain Bluebear, which is obviously quite special to me at the moment. I don't think I'm going to be even a quarter of the way through it by that point. But yeah, there is that. Maybe I'll have when I finish finally reading that book again, I'll try and condense the 13 and a half points into something.
Nice. Well, whatever it's going to be, it sounds like it's going to be a tad more intellectual than we had this week. Unless we decide again to go for Dinosaur Smut. But we do not want that to become our brand, so probably not.
No.
Anyway.
Next week we're doing Fish Smut. That's right, we're expanding our enterprise.
It's episode 40.
All those scalies out there. Actually, that's kind of already dinosaurs.
Yeah. Alright, this is going to be the end of episode 39 of the TMCJ podcast. Thank you all for listening. Hopefully you enjoyed, and tune in again next week.
Have a wonderful week.